There's a ton of messaging out there within politics and from the construction industry and even the forestry industry through FPAC's greenwashed Forestry for the Future project, talking about how we need to build more homes to address the housing crisis, even if that means bailing out a failing industry model and continued clear-cut logging of more forests, a management practice that has long been proven to be a significant factor in increased catastrophic wildfires, floods, landslides, biodiversity and carbon loss, etc. It's pretty straightforward. But is a lack of housing really the root cause of the housing crisis, or is that just a distraction to the real issue, that of wealth inequality and asset consolidation? See, in reality, we have plenty of housing already built. The problem isn't a shortage per se, it's the fact that a huge portion of the housing that exists is already owned by very few people who deliberately keep it vacant in order to decrease housing supply and drive up the values for that which is available so they can charge more to rent or sell it. It's basic Milton Friedman style of economics of supply and demand with a touch of Rentier capitalism. Let me explain. For every one unhoused person there is in Canada, there are over 6 vacant, empty homes. And in the United States, it's a whopping 28 vacant homes for every one unhoused person. That is insane. We have more than enough houses to meet everyone's needs in society and then some by a very, very comfortable margin. So surely we could fill all those and still have plenty to spare for anyone currently renting who would like to own, right? Not so fast, because according to that same ethically cussed economic logic, that would mean housing supply increases to above market demand, which would bring the value of all the properties down to more affordable levels, which all sounds great to the average working class person, but to the wealthiest, most privileged individuals in society, that's a problem because it reduces the value of the assets that they already own. About 2/3 of the population owns homes, and on average, 1 of every 10 homeowners owns 2 or more homes. And of all the homes that exist, depending on the location, between 29 and 41% of them are owned by those who already own more than one home. So in other words, about 10% of people who own homes, or 6% of the population, own more than 1/3 of all the homes that exist, which is massively disproportionate. The wealthiest of people use that wealth to purchase more assets, which are often deliberately kept vacant or used as vacation homes, which drives up the value of the assets that they hold. Not only does this hyperinflation through manufactured scarcity make it difficult for single homeowners to get by and harder for first-time homebuyers to get into the market at all, it then justifies unnecessarily high rent prices that aim to cover one's mortgage in a Rentier capitalism scheme in which the homeowner's wealth is sustained by the working class simply meeting their basic needs. So, no. We do not need to log more or destroy and develop more ecosystems in order to build more overpriced, affordable housing, nor should we be normalizing second or third home ownership and vacant properties during a housing crisis. That's all just a ruse. What we really need to do is address the severe wealth inequality and asset consolidation of that wealthy elite that creates artificially high housing values in the first place that are then weaponized against the average person in the working class. But considering that a majority of politicians and industry CEOs belong to that upper echelon of the multiple homeowners club, it's no surprise that they continue to divert and distract in ways that creates more business for the companies they own to the detriment of the lands, ecosystems, and communities that we all share and depend on, while still failing to address the needs of the people they were elected to serve. But hey, I guess there's always that van down by the river, right? Oh wait, they probably own that land too. Great.